Mark, hope you're doing good. Let's wait for 2 more minutes and we will do it. Of course, we'll expect less people moving forward, especially these 2 weeks because of the holidays this week, for Christmas and next week for New Year. But we'll do the sessions anyway for those who would like to watch the recording whenever they have time. Okay, I'll start recording and let's get started. Give me a sec.
Recording in progress.
Perfect. So, hello everyone. Hope you're doing good, and hope you are preparing for Christmas and for New Year, and you are getting like good good gifts, right? And not like being lazy. So let's do it as usual. For those who know, we start with US 500, DXY, Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT dominance to feel the market, and then we'll dive into more altcoins. And for our second phase, which is the topic for this session, is what to expect in 2023 or the best strategy to use in 2023. Okay, so of course, I'll be sharing it during this session. So let's do it. On US 500, we can clearly see that we are still overall bearish, trading inside this big falling broadening wedge. And last week, if you remember, we were around this area. I mentioned that this is a very strong resistance, lining up with this upper trend line in brown, lining up with the supply as we had an aggressive mover there from here, and multiple rejections. That's why for the boost to take over from a long-term perspective, we were still waiting for an aggressive breakup of the zone. Meanwhile, we are still bearish. This is simply a correction, just like previously. And if you remember also, I mentioned that I'm expecting a movement downward till this area, and then we'll be seeing hopefully, or maybe, because of course, we need to zoom in here and look for reversal around this area before we have the reversal, because I'm speculating a big head and shoulders pattern or inverse head and shoulders pattern. And like for the right shoulder, it is this entire zone, just like this, for example. And if you extend this till here, it would be around this area. But I have it here in orange as this zone because it is a minor support and resistance. We've got multiple rejections from. If broken downward, then we'll be expecting a movement till this area, as I mentioned, which is this support. Okay, but for now, things aren't looking good. We broke below this, and also for those who are also if you want, let's go to my TradingView profile. You can type US 500 here, and this is it. Okay, so by typing this US 500 and choosing the first one, that's it. Okay, so you choose this one. You can see all the previous US 500 analysis that I've posted, right? So you can scroll them, even from 2021 and even from 2020, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, first I posted that this is a very strong resistance. Then previously I've posted this, that we have a support here, price traded higher, and here price rejected this resistance, we traded lower. And lately, 14 December, which is exactly 1 week from now, I've posted this, that we rejected this zone, and if we break below this one downward, we'll be expecting further bearish movement, because this one is very similar to the previous ones here and here, right? Impulse started, so the impulse has now started. But as mentioned previously, I'm expecting a shorter impulse than the previous ones. As you can see, a big one to the lower bound, big one to the lower bound, but here it didn't reach, so that's why I'm expecting a shift in momentum to happen. And of course, it will take time. So, but here you are now, overall bearish from a long-term perspective, and now bearish from a shorter-term perspective, because we broke below this low. So now we might have a bullish movement. It would be simply a correction before the bears take over again and push the price lower. Okay, um, give me a sec. Okay, good. Okay, so this is basically it. And as we retest this area, this is a very strong resistance now. It has been acting as support previously, resistance here, support here, support here, resistance multiple times previously as mentioned as support, and now as we retested, we'll be expecting the price to kick in, which is very important because we want to feel the market, we want to know where we currently are, and the entire market is now more bearish than bullish. Okay, so that's it. It's in fact a very clean structure, a major low broken downward. We might have a retest, but keep in mind that we are bearish. If you go to H4 time frame, this is it. We can see it even better. If you zoom into to H1 time frame, as mentioned last week, for the bears to take over, we need to see a break below this. We had the break, we traded it lower, and we are currently retesting the zone. So now for the bears to take over again and start the next impulse movement downward, because now it's retesting what? A resistance zone. Previously support, previously resistance, now a resistance. If you zoom into, sorry, the H1 time frame or maybe lower, we'll be waiting for something like this to happen and then a break below it for the next bearish impulse to start. When we trade lower, this would be the first support zone that might be holding the price up. So we might have this, the boost take over from here again or break it downward, and that would be it. So that's it for US 500. Let's move on to feel the market even more to the XY, which is also very important because for those who already know, always because unfortunately, if you want, everything is in terms of USD, right? So like a stock, Facebook slash what slash USD, US oil or like oil in general slash USD, gold, okay, XAU USD, right? Bitcoin slash USD. This is why we keep an eye on the XY. And we previously also, you can also go here, check out my DXY analysis, the first one as usual, scroll down, you can see it all right there. So previously we're expecting this rejection from the upper band, we traded lower, and then we are currently approaching this demand zone. And lately on December 11, I've posted this one that we are now bearish as long as we are trading inside this channel, and we'll check it out now. We are still trading inside this channel, okay? And for the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above a major high and above this falling channel. Meanwhile, we can dive inside the 102 103.5, this entire zone, which is what this demand zone I mentioned from weekly. So let's make the update really quick. Bukarik, hope you're doing good, and we also got Altug. Happy to see you guys. I didn't say hi from the beginning. I'm sorry. So from monthly time frame, here we go. All right. So we rejected. Oops. Let me remove this one. Doesn't look good here. Okay, and this one as well. So this is the view from a weekly time frame. We might still dive inside it before trading higher, but the look here is more bullish than bearish. Okay, because we are overall bullish, of course. If you zoom out, we are overall bullish from a long-term perspective. We had our impulse, a big correction, and an impulse, and we are currently in a correction phase, right? We might be trading lower just like this, but it would take time. So for example, we might trade higher like this, and then trade lower for another impulse movement and trade like this. Okay, but first, now I'm speculating a bullish correction movement. We'll see it better on lower time frames now. If you zoom in, this is a monthly resistance zone turned into support, also lining up with this massive demand. The reason why this demand is very strong is because inside this big bullish trend, these are the only two places where price got stuck inside the consolidation, right? Consolidation. okay, which makes it these two, of course, demand zones. And we are currently filling this one. So like maybe later on, if we manage to trade lower, this would be a massive zone indeed, and even stronger than this one, because this is lining up with a demand and a resistance towards support, while this is a support, demand, also lower trend line in brown. So this would be a massive support zone. Anyway, we are still here now. Let's take it step by step. If you zoom into weekly time frame, I can't really add much, but from daily, we can see that if we trade higher, this would be a very important area from this zone till this zone. This entire zone is where I'm expecting another bearish movement. So if you draw this trend line as well, let me show you anyway. Like this. Okay, so this area here is at the intersection of this upper trend line, this trend line here, a supply here, aggressive movement downward, lining up with this massive support and resistance as well. So this zone from 109 to 110. Okay, but anyway, let's take it step by step again and again. We are currently here. As mentioned previously, we're expecting a bullish movement, but we might still trade lower before trading higher. That's why we need confirmation that the buyers are strong enough finally to push higher. First, the first alert that we might see a reversal is this consolidation here, is this flat bearish movement. Why? Because when you are in a bearish trend, we'll be expecting what? Big impulse movements, correction movements, big impulse movements, and so on. But when the impulse movements are getting smaller and flat, this is where you know that yes, the bears are still in control, but they are not as strong as before, right? Which you can clearly see here. Big impulse movements, look at this big impulse movement here, right? And then we've got this consolidation. We are still pushing lower, still making lower lows and lower highs, but not as strong as before, which gives us an early alert that a potential reversal might happen. It would be confirmed, for example, just like previously, by a break above the previous high, and maybe where? Let me check an example. Okay, so this would be it for this bullish trend. So for now, very very similar approach. That's the last high, broken upward, the impulse movement started. That's the last high for now. If broken upward, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. For now, the major one is here. We've got a minor one here. I have my alert around the major one, which you can see here. And if you zoom into H4, we can see it even better. That's the minor I showed you, and that's the major I showed you. If you break this one upward, it would be an alert that the buyers are taking over, but it would be confirmed by breaking above this zone. If this one is broken upward, expect a movement till the 109, 110 zone, which we mentioned previously from daily time frame, and then we'll be expecting another bearish movement. Meanwhile, and until the bulls take over, until we see this bullish movement, we might still remain bearish inside this channel. Okay, or even trade a little bit higher, reject the upper one, trade one more impulse bearish movement downward before finally the bulls take over. For now, let's see how it goes. But again and again, we are more bullish than bearish. We are bearish, yes, but I'm expecting a bullish movement more than a bearish movement. Now, since we covered USDT, sorry, US 500 and the XY. Okay, hello Bakarik, hello Mark, glad to see you here. Let's go over crypto. Let's get into it, starting with USDT dominance. Again, you can go here, go to my profile, you type USDT dominance, but I don't think we'll find this one because like I never find it. I'm not sure why. But if you scroll down, you'll be able to see it. I'm not really sure why I don't find it. It should be this one, but it's not. Maybe, no, not this one, USDT. Give me one more sec. Okay, it's from CryptoCap. Okay, so if you go here, it's from CryptoCap. So I'm not really sure what's wrong. Okay, maybe this one. Okay, yeah. So like this one is in dollar. This one is in percentage. I personally went for the percentage or for the dollar. Okay, not really sure. It's an index, okay. Okay, fine. Okay. So unfortunately, we can't find USDT dominance. Let me try one more trick. Let's go to 2 because I guess it's there. USDT.D. Let's go for 3, maybe. Wow. Yeah, that's it. Finally. Okay, so this is it. I mentioned that we have a support here, a massive one, as you see, and a demand also here from H4 time frame. We'll see it better when we check the chart. And I'm expecting a reversal from here, unless you can, of course, like you can check the description here. Unless we have a break below this, like this 7.9%. If you click on play, you can see the results. So we rejected the zone and we traded higher. We didn't break below the zone, and of course, like by break I mean a candle close below it. We didn't break below it. Instead, we rejected it, and then we had a new high formed here, broken upward. We traded higher. Now let's check the update. So rejected our support, the 7.9%. And we traded higher. We are currently approaching a minor resistance, but like the stronger one is around this area right here. We might be trading lower. Okay, like we'll check now. How do we know on lower time frames? But if you go to H4, and if you remember last week, we mentioned that we are stuck inside a consolidation unless we break higher or we break lower. If we break lower, we're expecting further bearish movement. If we break higher, we'll be expecting further bullish movement. We are currently forming like a head and shoulders pattern. But anyway, for the bears to take over, we need to see a break below this one. And when we break below it, it would be just what? A correction before another impulse movement push the price higher. But again, let's take it step by step. For now, we are bullish. We'll be expecting a bullish USDT dominance, expecting a bearish crypto market. Okay. So until or unless we see this break. And very similar scenario when you check Bitcoin. We are currently here around this area. If we break it higher, that's why you see my alert just above the zone. We'll be expecting a correction movement higher, just like a correction movement on USDT dominance lower before we trade higher again. Vice versa on Bitcoin, correction movement higher before we trade lower. And if we trade higher from here, this is a massive zone that we need to keep an eye on because it's a supply zone. It's a drop, a base, and then a drop. It's a D, B, D, right? Drop, base, drop. Okay, so there's a massive supply lining up also with this resistance zone right here. So around 17k 350 to 17k 500. Meanwhile, let's get back to our daily time frame. So, which is very important. We've got two possible scenarios from here, of course, up or down, right? But how do we know where we are going next? How we can get prepared from it? We start from the higher time frames for the overall vision, and then we go lower for extra confirmation, for extra confluences, for our trigger, for our and then whatever, and of course for our trade management and so on. So far we know that we are overall bearish. Big impulse movements, correction movements, big impulse movements. We are currently in a correction. And if we compare this phase to the previous correction, so impulse, correction, impulse, and correction. Let's zoom in and compare it. We had a high, broken upward, a high, broken upward, a retest till this previous low, retested the previous low. We might even trade a little bit lower or from here. And then we had a higher high, right? Higher high. So we might be having this higher high. And then we had this next bearish impulse. This one makes total sense because this impulse will lead us to 10 to 12k, which is lining up perfectly with this lower with this lower trend line in orange. Okay, this is the first analysis, but this is just a vision, like from a long-term perspective, that like history might repeat itself if we see this, and then we'll be trading lower again. And yes, if we trade higher, it would be just a correction, just like this one. For the boost to take over, we need Bitcoin to invalidate this big channel. To invalidate it, we need to see a break above the previous high, which is currently this one. And if you trade higher, make a new high. In this case, we'll be updating this one to become the 20K. But again and again, let's take it step by step. If we zoom into the H4 time frame, we are currently here. If we trade higher, this is a very strong resistance. This is a very strong supply. For now, I can't really add much, except that from H1, we had a weird price action. We broke above this high, and we are currently retesting the zone. If you break above the zone, as mentioned previously, that's my alert. Let me add it anyway. Okay, that's it. Here we go. Break it higher, we'll be expecting another bullish movement till this area, lining up with this trend line, lining up with this previous highs right there. So from 17,350 to 17,500. Meanwhile, if we have a daily candle close below the zone, expect further bearish movements. Okay, I'm very sorry. Um, okay, I'm very sorry about the noise. Okay, so if we if we break below this one from daily time frame, expect further bearish movement till the lower bound of this big range. Okay, that's it for Bitcoin. Let's move forward to Ethereum. We can clearly see that we are currently retesting a resistance, previously a resistance, then a support again here multiple times, and then we've got this resistance. And yes, we broke above the high, but it's just a small, minor one. It might be just a signal to correction before the next impulse movement push price lower. And even if you go a little bit higher from here, okay, so if we have this break, the bulls would take over and would be expecting a bullish movement. But keep in mind that this area, lining up with this area, previous highs, supply zone is a strong area that might be pushing the price lower. From a long-term perspective, the exact same vision that we had on Bitcoin, we are bearish, retesting a resistance zone, and we'll be expecting now this bearish movement till this previous lows or even the 1K. That's why you see many alerts here. And if we break this one higher, we'll be expecting a bullish movement till the 1500. So this is basically it. Can't really add much, except as I mentioned, let's go to H1 to show you better. If we break this one higher, expect a short-term bullish movement till here. If we break this minus supply resistance, that's it. If we break it lower, then expect further bearish movement from here. We would be rejecting this resistance zone. Okay, look, we've got someone new, Triple Man. Hope you're doing good. If you have any questions, let me know. We've done US 500, the XY, USDT dominance, Bitcoin, Ethereum. We felt the market. Let me take a sip, take 5 seconds break, and we'll move forward with our list. As usual, I have a big list, right? So I'll try to cover as many as possible, like during this session. If you want me to go over a specific one, please let me know in the members talk, or for those who are watching on Twitter and YouTube, please also let me know in the comment section, and I would be happy to do it. But I'll keep on going through this big list as much as I can. Let me take a sip and we'll move forward. Okay, cheers everyone. Okay, we'll start with NWC as usual. around a massive demand zone between 0.02 and 0.05. I have my alert inside it. In case we drop till here, I'll be looking for buy setups. On a medium-term perspective, we've got this channel that for the bulls to take over, we wanted to exit this channel and break above this resistance zone. Previously as supply, then rejected multiple times, now as support, broken downward, now a resistance. So for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, I want to see this happening, and then we'll be expecting a bigger bullish movement. On H4 time frame, if you zoom in, and as mentioned last week, if you remember, we are trading inside this shorter term channel, inside this bigger channel, right? And for the boost to take over here from a short-term perspective, I have my alert here. I want this break to happen, and I'll be expecting this bullish movement, and then I want to break above this and this for the boost to take over from a long-term perspective. So short-term, medium-term, and then long-term. Okay, that's it for NWC. On Galatasaray, let me see if Joseph is here. If he's not, you can watch the recording. Joseph, hello. On this one, Galatasaray, we can see that we are trying to break above the zone. I still need to see a daily candle close above it to confirm that it is broken. We could just have a big wick and a wick here previously, lining up with this minor support and resistance, multiple rejections from this area. Once we break it higher, we'll be expecting further bullish movement. That's it for now. I don't really have much updates except of what we just mentioned. If you go to seed for the Dear Boss Mac, I don't like this chart. For now, I don't like what's happening. We broke below the zone, which makes total sense, right? Because US 500 broke the 3.9k, which has been acting as a very strong support zone. So now we are more bearish than bullish. We have been bullish previously, right? And if you remember last week, I've mentioned that for the bulls to remain in control, I would like to see a break above this and then above this from a long-term perspective. I want to see this neckline here around 14 broken upward, and will be bullish unless we see a break below this trend line, which we unfortunately now have. Now we are bearish, and if we trade higher, it would be a correction before we trade lower again. I'm speculating a bearish movement till this area here, so like starting from 5.5 till this lower 5, and this area here would be a very strong area and an attractive one to look for, to look for buy setups, and would be overall bearish as long as we are trading below this trend line. Also, we can go and offset of it, so that's channel. So even if we trade higher, we can still trade lower from here until eventually it is broken upwards. Okay, so we have been, let me re-add it, we have been bullish, now bearish. Let's wait for the bulls to take over again. That's it for seed. Now, let's get into CSZ. We're approaching the 0.1, which is a very strong round number. Previously, I was speculating this to happen. Let's read now the head and shoulders. No longer helpful. We might have a double bottom now, right? So if we go and add this one around 0.78, maybe around this area, if we reject it, we would have a double bottom. Anyway, we have a big range. We can see it. Bullish movement, and we are currently here, so we'll be looking for this movement. Let me remove this one here, doesn't make sense. That's it. If we break below this 0.1 in an aggressive manner from daily time frame, expect further bearish movement to this lower bound to around 0.05, which is also this demand zone. If you go to daily, I don't want to see it on daily as well. Okay, as mentioned last week, if you remember, if we break below the 0.15, we'll be expecting further bearish movement inside the support. So we had it, we retested it, and we traded lower. For now, we're approaching or diving inside this support zone. On H4 time frame, we are bearish, trading inside this falling channel. For the bulls to take over now from a long-term perspective, we need to see this. and then a high broken upward. In this case, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. For now, we are trading lower and lower, and as we approach the 0.1, I'll be personally also looking for buy setups, but we want the bulls to prove to us that they are strong enough to take over. I have my alert here now, so I've made my box here instead of there. But anyway, let's add it here. That's just like my alert. So I'm waiting for this to be broken upward for the bulls to show some signs of strength, because we have been bearish for a while, trading inside or below this trend line. But of course, from a long-term perspective, I want to see this, a new high to form, which makes sense to form around these lows, and then this one would become a major one, and then when broken upward, we will be expecting a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish. For now, we're of course bearish. We can even draw this one as a falling broadening wedge to cover the lower bound of the zone. That's it. Let's move forward. We've got ADA. If you want to go over a specific altcoin, please let me know. Okay, so the Triple Man asked for Matic. Of course, let's do Matic. Let me add it just here, so that, yeah, anyway, we have it here. I'll do it before ADA anyway. If you want any other altcoin, everyone, let me know and I would be happy to do it. So Matic. So Matic has been standing stronger than many altcoins, because you can, for example, notice CSZ has been making lower lows and lower highs. ADA has been trading lower and lower, but look at Matic, has been standing strong around the 0.7 support. Also, if you want as an offset for it, around 0.62, maybe 6.2. So this is a support zone. If broken downward, expect a movement to the 0.4. For now, let's take it step by step, right? As I always say. So just like previously, we trade lower, we trade higher inside this box. We had a big more bullish movement. We trade back inside it, traded higher. Now, starting from here, I'll be looking for buy setups, expecting this bullish movement inside this range. And as you see, I have my alert here in case we drop lower. I want to look for buy stops as well. And I have my alert here in case the bulls take over from here. How do we know? We zoom into, but before I zoom in, I have to delete this one to keep my charts clean. We zoom into H4 time frame. And for now, that's our last high. We might be having an inverse head and shoulders pattern forming. It would be this. Left head and the right is forming, or it's just a bearish trend, and we'll keep on trading lower and lower till the 0.7 where the bulls take over. We can't really know. Okay, we don't predict. We wait for the bulls to take over first, and then we react. And that's the power of waiting for extra confirmation. Don't ever, as mentioned, like we spent like last week 10 minutes talking about this. Don't ever buy because it's cheap, because it's a strong support, because it's a demand, because we have seen it a lot. Price trades, dives inside a support, break it downward like there is no support at all. Okay, so don't buy blindly, no matter how good the project is, no matter how cheap the price is, no matter how good the fundamentals are in the entire crypto market. Okay, no matter if there is a reason for it to go up, it might not go up. Okay, wait for the bulls, wait to see money flowing into this project, wait to see people believing in this project, adding more money, using the USDT to buy Matic. You are using their I don't know why car okay. So when people start to put money, it will be translated into price, and the price will be going up. That's your confirmation. Of course, not like going up like this and then trade lower, by breaking above a major high. So for example, that was a major high, broken upward, we traded higher. For now, we might be still making lower highs, lower lows for this to test this zone, or even break it downward. Okay, and of course, like usually, no matter how aggressive the movement is upward, it always retests. It always provides you like with an entry again. So don't jump in because like of the fear of missing out. Okay, so for example, if you saw, for example, Matic going up like crazy here, okay, don't just buy because like you want to buy because like you don't want to miss it. Price always tends to make a retest, and the bigger the impulse, the bigger the retest would be. Okay, for example, a big impulse movement, and then we had a retest. Okay, always wait for the retest. Give me a sec. Someone is texting. Um, okay, that's it. Okay, that's it for Matic. If you want any more requests, let me know, and I would be happy to do it. Next, we've got ADA. ADA broke. Okay, this is a perfect example. We had a demand zone here, right? So price should, right, or most probably would reject this demand zone, but didn't happen. We kept on moving lower and lower like there is no demand at all, even though this demand was a very, very strong one. Price didn't respect it. We kept on moving lower, so now this is no longer a demand, and we can even delete it. Okay. Next, we've got this demand zone, which is also a resistance zone. Multiple rejections from this area. We can even make an offset of it till around 0.1, which is a strong round number. If you go to daily time frame, you are still bearish. Okay, this is very important. This is how simple. Okay, that's how simple it should be. Okay, especially moving forward to 2023. Don't buy until the daily high is broken upward. Okay, start from the higher time frames, feel the market, know where you are. For example, here we could know that we are bearish starting from here, especially after drawing this channel. So I'm not interested in buying ADA no matter how cheap it would get until we see any kind of reversal by breaking at least above this channel. Okay, and the daily time frame is usually very clean. It shows you the impulse movements, who is in control, like how big are how big are the candles, and so on. And especially ADA has been very weak recently. We had the support has been holding, broken downward, retested it, traded lower, and since then we have been also breaking below a low, as you see here, broken downward, retested, traded lower. Okay, we might be going higher, retest this area, trade lower again. So that's it. I have an alert here around 0.15 as you noticed, because if we drop lower till here it would be a strong demand zone. I'll be looking for buy setups here, and I have my two alerts here just to know that the bulls are taking over from a short-term perspective and from a medium-term perspective. That's for the short term. I'll be expecting a movement till here before we trade lower again. That's also a supply, or vice versa. For the medium term perspective, I want to break above this high right there. In this case, I'll be expecting a movement like this before we trade lower. But as long as we don't break a major high from daily, we would be overall bearish. Okay, so Triple Man asked, asked for for Filecoin, right? File USDT. I'm not really sure if it's FIL, right? Or F. Oh, okay, because like I have indices here, I should go for all and USDT. Where is mine? I'm not really sure which one I go for. You know what? I'll go for this one. Okay, I don't see much data here. Let's go for Gate.io maybe. Yeah, that's it. Okay, Filecoin. If you go to monthly time frame, can't really say much. Trade it higher, trade it lower. Again, we are currently approaching the all-time low, which is around this area where we are currently are, 1.5 even to 1. Let me zoom in, remove this one. That's it. So the all-time low from here is around 2.5. Let me add the 2 as well, or if you want the 1.5 as an offset for it, as a big one, just as a zone, and that's it. And as you can see, we are currently around the 2.5, which is what the all-time low. But Even if it's the all-time low, doesn't mean that you should buy blindly, right? Because it can still, and we have seen it a lot, it can still break the all-time low and keep on melting badly. For now, what we see is that we are in a bearish trend, and after every bullish attempt, we can see an even worse bearish impulse movement. If you did this, a bullish attempt, and then look at this, how it melted, breaking below the low, and kept on trading lower. If you go to daily time frame, I can't really say much. Also, overall bearish, and this is the last major high, which is lining up with these lows from a daily time frame. So for those to take over from a long-term perspective, I would like to see this happening. In this case, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. Now, from H4 time frame, since we are approaching a very attractive zone, the all-time low, and so on, this is the last major high that I would like to see a break above for the bulls to take over again. Once we break it higher, I'm expecting a movement till this supply lining up with these previous lows as well, as you clearly notice. That's it. Here we go. Here we go. So long story short, I'm bearish on Filecoin unless we break it higher. In this case, I'll be expecting a movement till this area for the bulls to remain in control and for the bulls to take over. From a long-term perspective, I would like to see a break above this one from daily time frame. Meanwhile, that's it. If you trade lower, I'll be also updating this high, this box. For example, if this happens, I'll be updating it to become this. But for now, this is my zone. Okay, let's continue. We were around Atom, right? Yeah, we were here. Let's take a sip. If you have any questions, let me know, or you want to request a specific altcoin, I would be happy to do it. Cheers. Okay, on Atom, this one is very similar to Matic, has been standing strong around the support zone, around 8.5. If the 8.5 is broken downward, then expect further bearish movement. Look at this, how strong it was previously, multiple rejections from this area. If we break it lower, expect a movement till around the 5.5 next support zone. From daily time frame, for the bulls to take over, I would like to see a break above this major high. If broken upward, expect further bullish movement till around the 13.5. Next, if you zoom into H4, we are currently in a correction movement. Yes, we might trade a little bit higher, but it's just a correction inside this falling broadening wedge. Impulse correction, and so on. We are currently in this correction. As mentioned, around the support, looking for bar setups unless the 8.5 is broken downward, then expect further bearish movement. I'll be waiting for something like this to happen on Atom, maybe a new high to form here and then a break above it, like this, for example. In this case, we'll be expecting further bullish movement. I'll go very similar. I was waiting for this high to be broken upward. I had my alert here, didn't happen, kept moving lower, and then this happened. Then I put my alert here, right? You can see it now. Also didn't get broken. We kept on moving lower. Even though the 0.2 was a massive zone, I didn't buy blindly. Look at how strong this one is from monthly, right? So this is the 0.1. Of course, the 0.2 should appear. Anyway, you can see it on weekly. Okay, this is the 0.2. Multiple rejections here, and here. And now it's broken downward. Now expecting a movement to the 0.1, which is currently the all-time low from 2020. That's it. So now this one is no longer helpful. Previously, we broke below this low. We retested it and we traded lower again, and we kept on moving lower and lower. For now, from a short-term perspective, as you see from my alert here, I have this zone right here. So if this happens, the bulls would show some kind of strength, but we have this resistance, but then I would like to see a break above this one right here. So I'm bearish as long as like even or like we just need the bulls to show us a kind of strength. Starting from here, we failed to make a higher high. We kept on making equal or lower highs, which isn't looking good. Now, as mentioned, this is the entire zone here is a massive zone to look for bus stops. I remove this one from here, I put it 0.15. Okay, so that's it. Meanwhile, we can trade lower and lower, and I'll be updating this box as we go lower. Sushi, a very similar scenario. We have been bearish, we failed to break above the high. For example, here we broke a high, we traded higher, and then we broke a low. We are currently bearish again. If you go to daily, we can see that we have been trading inside this big box as a big range, horizontal range, and currently around the lower bound of it. That's why I'm looking for bus stops. From weekly, can't really say much. If we break this box standard, then a movement to the 0.5 would be expected, which is the all-time low in this particular case. Okay, around the lower bounds on H4, I had this one previously. Now, as you see from my alert, I have updated it to become this one. Okay, so for the boost to take over, I would like to see this break. Meanwhile, we are bearish and we can still break below the zone and test the 0.5. If you have any questions, let me know. Meanwhile, I'll take a sip and I'll move forward. Cheers, everyone. Ape. This one has been standing strong. So, we rejected it around the 2.5. We traded higher, but we are still bearish inside this big channel. We can make it a little bit cleaner like this, and that's it. And this one as well, a little bit higher offset for it. Now we are lining up with these two lows. For the bulls to take over, as you see from this alert here, that the bulls will take over from a long-term perspective if we break above this high right here. So I'll add it. That's it. Meanwhile, while this one would be a resistance, as you see, rejected here, previously support multiple times, and we are currently retesting it. So this area is not a good area to look for a buy. Instead, as we trade lower, I'll be looking for a buy setup around this lower bound. Even if you break the 2.5, I'll still be looking for buy stops around the lower bound of this channel. For the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, I want to see a break above the 4.5. Link, like this one, very similar to the range we saw on sushi. If you go to weekly, approaching this 5 support multiple times. Even if you want, you can make an offset for it as to cover this previous wicks and this demand zone around 4. So that's it for the lower bounds, and for the upper bound you can make an offset till around the 9. So this is the whole range that we are currently trading in. And now, since we have our zones, let's delete this one. And let's delete this one to keep it clean. That's it. Let's delete this. And now this one isn't broken up. I was waiting for it to be broken. Didn't get broken. Let's delete it. That's it. So approaching the lower bound again, I'll be looking for buy stops. As you see, I have my alert here around these lows. If we go till there, I'll be looking also for buy stops. We are currently trading inside this falling broadening wedge. This is the last high, but it's still small because if we break it upward, we'll be facing this trend line, which might be pushing the price lower. That's why I made it higher till this low and this supply, and that's why you see my alert right here. And also, if you want, lining up with these lows and highs. Okay, so now alert makes total sense, right? If you trade lower, I'll be looking for buy stops around this lower band, this lower area. Move forward to near. Diving inside a big demand zone. As you see, around the 1 is a massive round number, and also around the all-time low and so on. So obviously we'll be looking for buy setups. If you zoom into daily, we have been making lower lows and lower highs, trading inside this big channel. And now let's explain this alert first. I have this zone right here. If this one is broken upward, then we'll be expecting a reversal, a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish. This is my first alert. My second one is around the 1. If we trade lower, this would be a good attractive price to look for buy stops. We don't buy blindly. We zoom into lower time frames and look for the trigger. This one is done. Let's see this. And now here, from a short-term perspective for the bulls to take over, I would like to see a break above the zone. That's it. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for a price to approach this, break this, or break this 1.85. Let's move forward. We've got Maker, MKR, very similar to the market, approaching this demand zone around 500. We also have one around 350. So if we break the 500 downward, we'll be expecting a movement to the 350, which is why you see my alerts, the low one right there. From a long-term perspective for the bulls to take over, I would like to see a break above this, which is lining up perfectly with the 1K, 1.2K. If it's broken upward, expect a bullish, big bullish movement, big bullish reversal. If you go to daily, meanwhile, you are here looking for buy stops, waiting for the bulls to take over on H4 time frame. As you see, this is the last high that I would like it to be broken upward for the bulls to take over. Meanwhile, as you see, we have been bearish since then, making lower highs and lower lows, and the movement lower as expected. Of course, unless the high is broken upward. Do you have any questions? Let me know. No matter where you are watching, I would be happy to answer it. Meanwhile, let's take a sip and move forward. Cheers. Okay, XMR, this one is like going up, right? Where everything is going down. This one has been proving strength. If you go to daily time frame, look at this. While almost all altcoins are doing like this one has been it's bearish, of course, but like it's standing stronger than the rest of the market. For the bulls to take over, here, we want to break above this entire zone. Meanwhile, of course, we'll be bullish and bearish here, but from a long-term perspective, we want to break above this zone. In this case, we'll be expecting a movement to the upper bound. If you go to monthly, that's it. So we might be trading higher, reject it, and then break it upward. In this case, we'll be expecting a long-term bullish movement. Dot also approaching a strong demand zone or inside a strong demand zone. If you go to daily, I've been personally waiting for a break from a long-term perspective above the 7, which didn't happen, of course, and we kept on trading lower and lower. Now we are forming another smaller channel. I guess I have it. Yeah, we have also this one as a flat one like this. That's it. Okay. So for the bulls to take over, I would like to see a break above this zone. Everything that might hold it back above this and this and this. Okay, and from a long-term perspective, above this entire area. From a short-term perspective, of course, we still have this high, but it will just signal a short-term bullish movement till around the 5. Okay. On flow, as you see, I was waiting for this to happen. Didn't happen. We didn't buy. we kept on moving lower. Let's extend this one. Delete this one as well. Weekly time frame. As you see, can't really say much. If you go to daily, we have been melting and trading lower. We even broke below the one, which I don't like. And now as you approach the 0.5, which is a strong round number, I have my alert here. And for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective now, I want this to happen, trade higher, for a new high, and then break it upward. Then we'll be expecting a bullish movement. For now, we are of course bearish. Can't really say much, and even from a short-term perspective, we are bearish. We've got this high, a minor high. If broken upward, we'll be expecting a short-term bullish movement till this supply maybe before we trade lower again. Okay, on Shiba, we've got this demand zone. We are currently retesting it. I have my alert till around this lower bound of this demand, which you can see even better from daily. That's it. It's a little bit lower. For the bulls to take over, of course, from a long-term perspective, I would like to see a break above this. Support previously, resistance now. If we break it higher, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. For now, we'll be expecting this bearish movement, and as we trade lower, we'll be lining up with this area. We'll be looking for buy stops around the lower bound. From H4 time frame, we are also bearish, trading inside this falling rounding wedge for the bulls to show signs of strength. We need to see a break above this high, so let me move this one from here till here. That's it. And here we go, lining up with many lows and highs. That's it. If we break broken upward, that explains my alert here. We'll be expecting a short-term bullish movement till here, and then if we break it higher, we'll be expecting further bullish movement. Okay. And I will cover two more. If you have any more requests, let me know. But I will go over two more, and that would be it for tonight. Yeah, but like surprisingly, Shiba is holding stronger than many altcoins like ADA, for example, or DOT. So yeah. Okay, I will go over two more Reef, and the last one would be Sol. Okay, Solana. If you want more requests, let me know. I would do it before we end the session. Daily time frame approaching this support. I don't like how we broke below this. It was a support area, broken downward, now a resistance. Currently approaching this, which is the all-time low, I guess, from here. That's why I have 0.00. And that's the view from H4 time frame. That's the last major high. Visible on daily now. That's better. That's it. Waiting for the price to break above it, for the bulls to take over, and from a shorter term perspective, want a break above this high for the bulls to take over from a medium term or short term perspective. The last one is Solana, Sol. This one also melted. We had a demand zone here, broken downward, and so on. Now approaching around number 10. If broken downward, we'll be expecting a movement till the round number 5. And daily time frame, that's a big range that we can see better from H4 time frame. That's it. The upper resistance bound, let me make it a little bit lower, make it a little bit cleaner. That's it. And the lower bound, as you see. For the bulls to take over, we need them to reclaim this resistance, because now it's a resistance, right? Previously a support, resistance again, support, and now broken downward, a resistance. That's why I have my alert just above the zone to confirm that the bulls are strong enough to break higher, and I have it exactly around, let me show you, around above this supply zone here. Let me zoom in, and that's it. Okay, so if you want, I can even make it a little bit lower, just above this supply, because I want the bulls to prove to me they are strong enough to break back inside it. Meanwhile, of course, we are bearish. We'll be expecting further bearish movement. If we trade lower to around the 10, which is the round number, I'll be also looking for buy setups around this area. Okay, so that's it for today. I covered as many as possible. Hope you enjoyed it. And like in case we don't talk in these 2 days, wishing you all happy holidays for this week and happy new year. Of course, we'll just have next session on Wednesday, next Wednesday, so I wish you happy new year then. But for today, wishing you happy holidays with the family, and be safe, trade safe, and I'll see you hopefully soon. Glad to see you all here, of course, Triple Man, Mark, Mac, Bukarik, and Altug. Hopefully you are good. Triple Man, you are more than welcome. Bukarik, happy holidays for you too, dear, and Merry Christmas. Okay, so that would be it. Wishing you a lovely night, and I'll see you hopefully all next week, same day, same time. Goodbye, everyone. Happy holidays, dear Mac. Well, okay, goodbye, everyone. I'll see you all very soon.